Hello and welcome to the True to Life podcast. In this episode, I'm joined by Caitlyn Smith. She's my AT here at HNU. I actually shouted her out in the most recent episode released the other week. And so today I'm grateful to have her here with me today. And we're going to be talking about different parts about her career and also different ways of how to keep athletes healthy. This episode is a little bit more focused on the athlete side. I know we try to discuss more of student athletes, but obviously, as athletes, we want to know how to stay healthy and stay on the floor. So today we're going to talk with Katie about that and also about her career. So for any student athletes that are interested in, becoming an athletic trainer or working anywhere in that field, this episode is going to be a great listen. So to get started, Katie, could you just introduce yourself, talk about, your upbringing, where you went to school, how old are you, and just to get started.
Ooh, how old am I? Hi, I'm Katie. I am the basketball athletic trainer here at Holy Names. I also cover men's and women's golf, so can't forget about them. They're my athletes too, just like everybody else.
Of course.
But I grew up in the Bay Area, born and bred. Go Warriors.
No, go Kings.
I had to do it. No, I grew up here. I went to high school in Silicon Valley, Homestead High School. I went to my undergrad in Southern California in San Marcos. Loved going out there. Was out there for 5 years, and then I moved back home. Then I went out to Oklahoma, Tulsa, and did my master's at Oklahoma State at their medical school there, which was really an awesome opportunity to go out there. I was out there for 2 years, went out there during peak COVID, which is kind of crazy, but
sure.
Pretty big deal. And it definitely was a big learning experience being out there during that time. And came back, got to do a couple rotations back out here for my clinical rotations, which you have to do in athletic training. And I'll go into more of that probably later. But, wanted to stay in the Bay after coming back and graduating. So got my job here at Holy Names, and, it's been quite a ride. It's been a ride.
Yeah, no, there's quite a ride is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
Listeners of the show know what's happening here at HNU. Also on the staff side of things, not only are all of us student athletes trying to figure out what's going on, but also all the coaches, training staff, and everything like that. So what has that been like, trying to navigate that?
It's been pretty crazy. I'm not going to lie. I didn't expect to be, back exactly where I was a year ago. This time last year, I was studying for my board of certification test, which every athletic trainer has to take. So I was studying for that and applying for jobs. Actually, I can almost give you to the date of when my second interview was with Holy Names. It's probably this time next week, maybe, last year. So it's kind of crazy to be I'm exactly where I was last year looking for another job. And it's definitely different this time around. Last year I was, still in school. I was kind of, very green and kind of just hoping that people would take me and give me a chance, to be on my own and be my own athletic trainer. Whereas, when you're in your graduate program, you're working under someone the whole time. And so sometimes they're like, are you really ready to be on your own? Are you ready to make your own decisions? And Danny gave me that shot, and, I'll thank her every day for it because I wouldn't be here without her. So.
No, I love that. And what exactly inspired you to pursue a career in athletic training? Because I know for a lot of people, especially young athletes, they have a really hard time figuring out what it is they want to do.
Yeah.
So when was that moment that you knew, okay, athletic training is what I want to do?
Oh, I'm gonna say I'm a unicorn. Not to say in a weird way like that, but I knew exactly what I wanted to do from probably before high school. I grew up doing all-star cheer, so competitive cheerleading. It's not the sideline cheer that you see normally at high school games and stuff like that. It's you're working out during the week, and then you have competitions on the weekends, and you're traveling a lot and stuff. And so I did that, and it's very high intensity. It's a lot closer to gymnastics than you'd see a sideline cheer team. And it's very grueling on the body, and I was always the one that was hurt. So who do I go see? I go see the athletic trainers at competitions and stuff. And I got into it a little bit through that, but then my brother played high school football. He played high school sports in general, and so we went to the same high school. So my 7th grade year, they got a new athletic trainer at Homestead, and his name's Dan Newsom, and he was great. My parents loved him. They helped a lot with anytime my brother got hurt, and he was very communicative with them, and he was just very knowledgeable about his job. And so I was what he does is really cool. I want to do that too. That seems like a cool job to have. And so when I started my freshman year, he was still there. And so I went in and I asked him, I said, hey, can I like shadow you just to kind of see what the job's about and maybe help you out with like football games and stuff like that. And he was like, yeah, sure. Like that sounds good. Started probably my second or third week of freshman year and, did it all the way until graduation and kind of never looked back. Athletic training's kind of just always been that thing that made sense to me, and not everybody finds that, and it's definitely hard to find, and I feel very blessed that I found a career that like just made sense in my brain and something that I have really come to love. And there's a lot you can do with athletic training, and no one really knows that. And it's like you can go into high school athletics, you can go into college athletics, you can go into the performing arts. I don't know if you guys know this, but One Direction travels, I think it's One Direction's or 5 Seconds of Summer travels with their own athletic trainer. Like, what? Like, who would think that you could do that as an athletic trainer? And so because of that, like, this career has kind of really opened up a lot of different opportunities, and it's just fun to see where it's going.
No, absolutely. And I also kind of want to circle back to you were talking about competitive cheer.
Mm-hmm.
And, some people, I mean, I've been in some debates with people talking about, is cheer a sport? But I know for the level of like competitive cheer, absolutely that's a sport because you're going out competing against other schools. Like you said, it's almost more like gymnastics almost. So what was that like, with the time commitment of that? We talk about that a lot on this show, time commitment for student athletes with their sport and with school and social life. So what was that like for you growing up, with the competitive cheer and also with school and a busy social life? What was that like?
No, my schedule was pretty jam-packed growing up. So what's kind of different about competitive cheer versus like high school athletics or anything, or college athletics is you can actually be on more than one team, I guess you could say. You're still within the same program, but you can compete on more than one team. And so not only did I do cheer, I did dance as well. And so I guess when I was in high school was probably the best way to put it. I actually had a job as well, coaching. And so I would be probably at my gym more than I was at school. So, I'd go to school 7:50 to 2:25, go do interning with our athletic trainer until about 4:30, 5 o'clock, go straight from there to the gym. I worked 2 days a week coaching, and so I would either coach until about 7:30, and then I'd have dance practice from 7 until whenever we finished, which could be 9 o'clock, could be midnight. And then, turned around and did the exact same thing the next day. And maybe instead of having work and then dance, I had my first cheer team that I was on. And then that was about a 2 to 2.5 hour practice into my next 2 to 2.5 hour practice. So I wasn't leaving my gym until like 9, 10 o'clock at night. And then you get home, you shower, you eat. I typically didn't do homework after practice. I just didn't. It was just not conducive for my learning. I just couldn't do homework that late. I don't know
you
how
wanted
people...
that like time for yourself.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And honestly, by that time of the day, I'm exhausted. Like,
no, for sure.
I've been going since, I walked to school. I, was, back in the day when they didn't tell you can like sleep in the morning. This whole new rule is crazy to me. But like I went all day long, and so it was kind of rough to try and squeeze in homework time and stuff. But I know you make it work for yourself. You make the time commitment that you want to make if you want to be in that sport. And so, I found time during the day where I would, maybe I did homework during tutorial, or I did homework during lunch, or I did homework in between my breaks at work and stuff like that. And so, I would never say that school came second. I think I made school work to be a co-1 for myself. And so, that was always something that was big. And I always had the, goal to go away to school after graduation. No one in my family had ever gone away and gone and lived at school. Both my aunt and uncle graduated from Cal State East Bay back when it was called Cal State Hayward. But I went away. I wanted to do that for myself. I knew that if I stayed in the Bay Area, I thought I might get stuck, and not get stuck in a bad way, but, get stuck and not finish school, not do the things I wanted to do. So I was determined to go away to school. I think Cal State San Marcos was actually the closest school I applied to. Mm-hmm. I was applying to school on the East Coast, and it was nothing like I was trying to get away from family or anything. I love my family, and it was just that I needed to go away and be on my own. And so school is still always a priority. It's always will be. Even now, like I always say that, you guys are students first, athletes second. So you need to make it work for yourself. But if you're going to, commit to both, then you need to commit to both. And that's what I tried to do when I was in high school and college and everything too. So.
And I really love how you're talking about how you knew what you want and how you kind of just went after that a lot too. And you described how, school and your sports or school and whatever, how it's a co-number one almost. And it's not like one of like one's above the other. Also just kind of managing that, busy schedule like you described, a similar schedule of just like the hours in a day almost feel like they just run away from you. And also like props for you for, getting out and, leaving home. Cause I know a lot of kids, I struggled with wanting to leave home. Like that's why I'm here, honestly, is I still wanted to be somewhat close to home. So, putting yourself out there, I think is honestly really important, for your own development and that. So I'm really glad that you touched on that.
Yeah.
So I want to transition and talk more on the athlete side of things, and talking about some common like physical health issues that you kind of see the athletes face, and how do you address those with athletes?
Oh, that's a deep dive question.
Let's do it.
No, I guess we could say like, preseason stuff. What did we run into the most? It was mostly people kind of, you get those first couple weeks of conditioning and it's shin splints off like right out the gate. And that's a lot of it's because, either you're just breaking in shoes or, you guys are going from conditioning outside to conditioning inside. Every sport's going to be different. It's, kind of one of those things that a lot of people don't realize about athletic trainers is like, yeah, we understand sports, but we also have to understand specific sports. Like I have to know what exactly do you need as a basketball player? What does a golf athlete need to make sure that they can maintain throughout a season? What does a football player need to be able to do during their preseason versus in-season versus postseason? Stuff like that. And it's a lot of stuff that people don't really realize athletic trainers kind of have to know and understand. And everyone has their own way of looking at things, and everyone always says there's no recipe for, making sure someone gets through a season or any specific injury. There's stuff that we learn that, we know works, and when there's research that's being done and that all helps, but there's no like, this is going to work because it's worked for everybody else. It might not work for you. A big saying athletic trainers say is it depends. It's kind of the big thing.
I remember hearing that a lot this year. Yeah, honestly.
Or that's not normal, but it's expected, right? And so I say that a lot to you guys is that might not feel normal to you, but it's expected. Like you guys just went and you ran Bayheims, right?
Oh,
and
man.
Everybody was dying after Bayheims. And
Bayheims.
and then you come in to see me the next day and your legs are killing you and you're sore, and it's like, okay, so what can we do for active recovery? And that's kind of the one thing that I really tried to push on to you guys was active recovery this year. And while, laying in bed feels great and not doing anything all day, it's not really going to help you. Rest is good, but if you get up and go for a 30-minute walk, just kind of get your blood pumping. Everyone says motion is lotion. It's a big thing too. Motion is lotion. The more your body is moving, the more it's going to keep moving, the more it's going to feel better. So it's like you get that blood pumping, we do Normatex, kind of get that compression, cycle your blood out. Scraping, cupping is all about bringing new blood to the surface, increasing blood flow to those muscle bodies and stuff. So, I guess that's kind of one of those big things that I was always looking for you guys to do is to do just active recovery. Like yoga, I loved that you guys did yoga at the beginning of the season. I think that helped me out a lot because you guys would kind of be like, hey, I'm feeling like this, but it's Thursday, so we have yoga tomorrow. I think after tomorrow, I'm going to feel good. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, you guys are making a good decision to be like, this is what I'm going to look at. I'm going to try and do yoga first, or I'm going to start stretching after practice, or I'm stretching before practice. Kind of just getting those ideas in your head to make you guys want to do that was kind of the big thing for me this year.
No, absolutely. And I loved how you mentioned how it's different for every athlete and also different for every sport. I think that's really important to pay attention to. And also you kind of answered the next question I was actually going to ask about, what are the elements of a successful injury prevention program? And you covered it with, the active recovery, not sitting around, going for those walks, get the blood pumping. So, those are simple things that all athletes can, implement in their life. And I'm glad that you touched on that. I also wanted to circle back to the Bayheim runs. It's just so those that are listening, the Bayheim runs were designed from, Jim Boeheim, Coach Covell, shout out Coach Covell. He brought these runs as part of our conditioning program, and it was a series of a whole bunch of different sprints, and basically the Bayheim run is equivalent to like one full game of running.
Mm-hmm.
So we would do those Bayheim runs, and then we would dive into practice. And this was part of our Hell Week for conditioning. And yeah, our guys were beat up. I can't even lie, even including me. Like I was super tired. You know, and it's 24 different sprints. I think only 2 or 3 of our guys actually got the full 24 out of 24. I got a 23 out of 24. But yeah, those Bayheims were a piece of work.
Yeah.
But no, it was great sconditioning. I actually texted Covell and asked him for the sprints because I'm going to be doing them as part of my off-season program. But yeah, no, just a little bit of a side note there. So I also wanted to kind of talk about nutrition and how important that is for maintaining athletes' physical health. And what do you kind of talk to athletes about in terms of their nutrition and, you know, sleep, and how should they maximize those things?
So when it comes to nutrition, I mean, it's definitely hard in college, right? Like you guys know here, you know, you guys have to be on a meal plan here, and maybe the meals aren't that great. They're not that nutritious, but, you know, you have to kind of make what you have work. And so, that was kind of my thing too, is like, you know me, I'm a snack person. I keep all my snacks, and everyone knew I had snacks, and I was always willing to share them, because I know that sometimes, you know, you guys are going straight from class into practice and you haven't eaten since 9 a.m. and it's 4. You're basically running on empty. You have to think about your body as a car, right? So the fuel you put into your body is what's going to help you get through the day. And if you're running into practice and you're on empty, you're going to get hurt. And that's kind of, a lot of people don't realize that, how much like food and just nutrition in general really does affect how your body functions. And if your body's not functioning at its maximum level, then you're going to get hurt. It's kind of just, it's a cause and effect, even though no one says it's really a cause and effect, but it really is. And so, you know, if you know that you're going to be in class and you go straight to practice, make sure you're eating in class. And if you have a teacher that's like, hey, I don't want you eating my class, then make sure you eat something right before you walk into class, or have it ready so that you can walk out and eat on your way to practice. Or, you know, as much as protein shakes aren't really going to do a whole lot for you, like as in like filling you and satisfying you, that quick, like, oh, let me just get this in really quick after practice before I go, because there's 30 minutes between when I have end of practice to when the calf opens. You need to fuel your body within 30 minutes of practice.
Like something's better than nothing.
Something is better than nothing. And so I think that kind of making sure it goes with the whole time scheduling, right? Time management. Time management includes food, includes meals. And so if you're not thinking about that when you're starting your day, then that's kind of where you're setting yourself up for failure. And I think if, you know, if you can go and like, say you're at the calf and they have a bagel that you can take, and you're not going to get to lunch that day, grab the bagel, make sure it's, you know, you throw some peanut butter or some jelly on it, or even cream cheese, something that's like light where you can eat it and, you know, it'll get you through to the next meal, or, you know, get you through till you can go grab a snack somewhere. You know, you have to be able to make sure that you're maintaining that throughout the day. When you're in season, you need to make sure that you're maintaining it at a level that, like, you know, you're going to have a 2-hour practice later. Okay, how much food do I really need to eat today? And that's really hard. And I don't even think I have like enough of a nutrition background to say like, oh, you need to eat so many calories in a day. But I think if you know that you're going to be going harder that day, okay, let's go more high energy, high carbs, what's going to last longest in my body. And kind of understanding that, I think, is going to help you be able to schedule out your meals and, you know, just have a better outlook on what that means for your body and what that means for recovery too. You know, no one, like I just said, you know, food is going to be fueling. So you just finished practice, which means you just emptied your tank. What are you going to do? You have to refill it. So,
Got to.
I think that's a big deal too.
Yeah. So, I mean, one big thing that Katie always did for us, like it was with, you know, during practice or before practice, I mean, to have like the fruit and stuff. You talked about that a little bit. I mean, it was honestly so nice, like something so subtle like that. But I mean, a lot of our guys, as you know, like came in, you know, just like having the cuties there and like the oranges and little things like that before practice, like really helped. Yes, honestly, shout out to you for that. But also like our cafeteria, I know you probably hear a lot about it from our guys. Yeah. You know, you kind of got to just make it work, and you're required to be on a meal plan. So you have to kind of just pick and choose and then like make the best of it. But yeah, no, just, I love what you were speaking to about, you know, looking at your day and kind of giving your body what it needs, you know, from day to day, but just always, you know, making sure your body's fueled. So
Yeah.
I'm really glad you know, touched on those things. So I also want to talk about mental health, because that's something that a lot of athletes struggle with too now. And honestly, you're our trainer, but I've also seen you're, you know, almost a mental therapist to a lot of our guys. So I kind of want to talk to you about how important, you know, good mental health is to overall success and performance as a student athlete.
Yeah. You know, like I said, so I went away to school. I actually didn't cheer. I like stopped cheering in high school after I graduated. And also cheer, you don't totally age out, but you kind of age out at 18, right? And so I stopped cheering. San Marcos also didn't have a cheer team at the time. And so my first 3 years at San Marcos were very rough. You know, you lose that social aspect. You kind of lose that training too. Like I had my whole day scheduled out in high school, right? Top to bottom, scheduled out. And then I got to college and I had a job my first semester, and so that helped a little bit. But, you know, I had these big giant gaps in my day, and I was like, what am I doing? Like, I don't have anything to do. And so I'd say, like, my mental health kind of, you know, wasn't doing great. And I didn't really, that was back when, like, no one really, like, talked about mental health, right? I keep saying back when, I mean, this is, like, I just graduated in 2019 from college.
But still,
so
I mean, even
like,
now you see it a lot more.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a lot more present now, and I love that it's a lot more present now, and more people talk about it, and more people are okay with talking about it. And I think I will always, if someone comes to me, I will always tell them my experiences that I had with mental health and stuff. And it was kind of just getting through those days, and you know, you get to a day, and it's just like everything feels like it's just so heavy, and it's hard to get out of bed, and you just don't really have any type of motivation to do something, but you have to do it. And it's like, I think a lot of times people don't realize that for athletes, it's almost more, you know, you're looking at the sport that has brought you joy for your whole life, and, you know, has gotten you to where you are. And some days you just don't want to do it. And, I think that's a really tough thing for a lot of athletes to grapple with, is like, what do you mean I don't want to do this today? Like, I want to be here, but really I don't want to be here. And or like, you should want to be there, right? Like, that's the feeling that you have, is like you should want to be there, but you don't. And it's kind of this conflicting thought that you have in your head. And I think until someone says, hey, it's okay to not want to do this today, it just eats at you. And I think that was something I always tried to tell you guys, is that, like, sometimes if it's just too much, you just tell me it's too much, and we'll figure something out, and we'll pull you out for a little bit, or like, we'll give you a little bit of a break. And so I think I always tried to tell you guys, like, hey, I get it. I get what it means to be away from family. I get what it means to be alone, in the sense of, like, just no one's kind of understanding where you're coming from and where you're feeling, because I went through the same thing. There was a year that I didn't want to be at school. I literally fully thought about, hey, do I really want to do this with my life? Or can I just go home? Can I get a job and just work, not graduate? Do I really need the degree? Do I really have to keep doing this? And, you know, it ended up coming down to, okay, what matters to me? This is what matters to me. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep pushing. And then I actually started cheering again. Found cheer again. And that was kind of like what kind of was a big turnaround for me, is I went back to my sport and started cheering for Cal State San Marcos. And that was definitely different than what I was used to, because it was sideline cheer. And so, but kind of having that routine in again, and something that wasn't necessarily as serious, kind of did help me kind of come back. I like started getting more involved at school and meeting new people, and kind of, it really just kind of flipped the script for me. And then my last semester hit at San Marcos. I was taking 20 units, and I was still cheering, and I had an internship, had a job, and my day was fully packed again. And it got to a point where I was like, wow, do I really want to do this again? And it's like, you just go through those highs and lows, and it's finding the way out that is what's really going to help. It's kind of figuring out, like, okay, I understand that I felt like this before, and maybe this worked last time, and you have to also understand, hey, if this worked last time but it's not working this time, okay, what can I change? What can I find that's going to help me get out of this slump again? And I think that's like a big thing that a lot of people don't realize, is like, it all depends. It all depends.
It all comes back to that.
Yeah, it depends, right? And so it's like, you're never, even though something, you know, is what brought you back last time. It's not going to bring you back this time. And so being open to new, I guess, techniques or like just new things, like talking it out with someone, going to therapy, going to group therapy. It's becoming a lot more acceptable these days, I would say. I feel like it wasn't that acceptable. I mean, San Marcos always offered people counseling, and that was something that was available to us, but I don't know anyone who used it. Whereas like here, I feel like people are very like forward in saying, yeah, I go to counseling, I go to therapy. One of my friends who, she was on the cheer team with me at San Marcos, and she ended up leaving. She was very big on, hey, I go to therapy. I love it. I think it helps me a lot. And she's like, even when I'm in my super lows, I still find a way to go to therapy because I know eventually getting it all off my chest and not bottling it up is what's going to help. And so, I think talking to her a lot about mental health was what kind of made me realize like, hey, wow, I've gone through these things too. And I think that's why I'm always okay with talking to you guys about how I feel about stuff. And letting you guys know that, hey, I'm here with you. I'm always going to be there with you. You know, I always tell you guys, I'm on your page, not on anyone else's page. I'm on your page. And so, making sure you guys know that, making sure any athlete knows that they can come and talk to me and I'm going to help them as much as I possibly can. And if I can't help you, I'm going to find someone who can. And that's a big thing about athletic training is, they call us gatekeepers. You know, we are going to take in what problems you have. We're going to try and evaluate, see if we can help. And if we can't, we're getting you to where you need to be. We're getting you to the help that you need. And so, that's a big thing that not a lot of people realize athletic trainers have to do too, is we are here on the mental health side. You know, there's kind of a joke that, athletic trainers are like the bartenders of the athletics world because everyone talks to their bartender, right? It's like a therapist on like the outside.
No, it is. It
and
really
so,
is.
You know, it's like, we always try to say like the training room is the safe space. You guys can all come in and talk about what you need to talk about. And, you know, it stays safe there. You're never going to be judged in there. It's like, yeah, we all make jokes and stuff and it's a fun time to be in there and stuff, but you're always safe there. And I think there's no athletic training room that I've ever been in that has not been the exact same way. And so I think that's just something that's clear across the profession, and it's really helpful to athletes.
No, I feel like you know more about our guys than we do, 100% as each other, just because our guys open up to you. You know, they're just getting taped by you every day or getting treatment with you every day. So you become like that person that we can talk to like super easy. I mean, just even, sitting here with you right now, it's like we already have chemistry from all the times we have talked, and, times that I've leaned on you before too for help, and just always like making it acceptable to come and ask for help and come and ask for someone is something that you did for me that was really special. And I think it's okay to admit when you're struggling. Yeah. It's okay to admit when, things aren't going your way. And I feel like that's like so important, especially when talking about mental health. I also liked how you were talking about that kind of like the crossroads that you came to, and how you really decided like what you wanted to do, and just how you knew that and what it was going to be best for your future. Mm-hmm. It's honestly so important. And then the last thing that I was thinking about when you were talking was just how, when regards to mental health, this is something that I learned from, Coach Dan, who's the sports psych person here at HNU. Shout out Coach Dan. He actually was just talking with me today about how, you're a person first mm-hmm. before your sport. And this is something that you talked to me about a little bit too, and it didn't fully register at the time, but you're a person outside of whatever sport you're playing. Like, you are a human being first. And just remembering that, it takes off a lot of the pressure about your sport and your performance, just knowing that you're okay and you're loved no matter what. Yes. And I think that's like super important, something you've honestly taught me too as well. Yeah,
I think that's something that I feel like was probably my main mission. Even, as a student, I always looked at, athletes I worked with as people. I always said, oh, you're a person first. Like, I know every time you guys come in, I say, hey, how's your day? And I'm not saying, hey, how's practice? I mean, I know you guys have practice. I'm there. But, you guys walk in and say, hey, how's your day going? Because it's like, it's your day, right? It's not anyone else's day.
It's different for everybody, exactly. Every person too, yeah.
And, kind of just saying that. And like you said, you're a person first, treating the person, not treating the athlete. And that goes back to the whole, like, I'm on your page thing. And that's also why I always said that to you guys is I'm on your page. It's your decision. It's your body. What are you wanting to do? And so, it's something that I feel like I tried to instill with you guys pretty early on. It's something that you have to do as a new athletic trainer. And, I don't know if you talked to any other coaches or anything about this, but everyone talked about buy-in, buy-in for coaches, buy-in for strength and conditioning coaches. But you also have to get buy-in as an athletic trainer. And if you don't, like, it's kind of setting up for a long and hard season. And if your athletes aren't, buying into what you're saying, then, what are you doing? And are you treating them as people, or are you treating them as athletes? And I think that's kind of something that I was worried about, actually, when I came here, because I was like, oh, this, majority of this team, is new, but a lot of them have been here before. Maybe they're going to see me coming in and they're going to be like, wow, who is this chick? Like, what does she know,
Yeah.
And especially when a lot of people find out, it was my first year being certified. I've been around athletic training for a long time, but it's my first actual year certified. And, they might look at you and be like, oh, what do you know? Where have you been?
A lot of the new guys, they also probably had the thought about you of, oh, who's this crazy person that keeps sending me emails?
Right. Everyone hated me because of these dang emails.
So it's like before, getting into, being able to participate in NCAA sports, like, there's all these different paperwork and stuff that you have to submit and all these forms and stuff. So really all we thought about you is, oh, Caitlyn Smith, oh, she wants this form. She needs this. She needs that. So then actually getting on campus and finally like meeting you. I remember the first time I met you, it was me and Trey. We came into the office and I was just like, whoa, I've been emailing with you, all these different email chains, and now I'm finally talking to you in person. So I thought that was funny.
I know, it was pretty same across the board, I think, for everybody. I think that was like one of the conversations we had in the middle of the season. I think someone finally was like, Katie, I really did not like you at the beginning of the year. I'm like, oh, I know. I sent you guys an email a week, but like what you guys didn't realize is that I was there at school and I would just go through and I'd check paperwork, see who turned what in. And of course I hate that I'm rejecting these papers because you guys are like, no, I did it right. And I'm like, well, it's not coming through right on my side. Like, I'm trying to help you. I swear to God I am. And then, I have Cavell coming in and he's like, hey, who can practice starting like first week? And I'm like, no one. And he's like, okay, well, keep emailing them and let me know what I can do. And I'm like, so as much as you guys hated it, I hated having to do it. I was like,
it was bad for both sides.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, they're going to come in and they're going to be like, oh my God, this girl's just nagging. And I'm like, I'm really not trying to nag. I just need to get this in so that you guys can practice. And it's like this whole time, I was doing all this and I'm like thinking, oh, are they going to like me? And like, am I going to have this relationship with them? And, I really do think I achieved that this year. And that was something big on, at the end of the season, looking back on it, is I really went from none of you guys really liking me to I genuinely am going to miss every single person on that team.
No, absolutely. I mean, you did a really great job at like building trust with each individual person. Because honestly, all of our guys, and obviously all the sports you cover too, like there's other people that are like, Katie's my favorite trainer, and like I just no, this is just the word I'm hearing at school. You didn't hear it. But yeah, no, people do say like you're their favorite trainer, and just for whatever reason, it's like that connection that you build with people. Not even just like basketball or golf that you're covering right now, but all sports. Like you feel like you're so approachable and easy to talk to and stuff like that. And of course, that's nothing to discredit any other trainers. We have an amazing staff.
Yes.
I have great relationships with all of them, and I've had nothing but great experiences. But I mean, there is like a special connection that I have with you, obviously, just because with men's basketball, but other people can share that too because of that trust that you build, which I feel like is so important. So I also wanted to talk about or ask you, what is your biggest like success story this year, if you have one, like a specific athlete? You don't have to name the name, but of someone that overcame something or someone that learned something, and you kind of feel a little bit responsible for that you played into that success.
I think in general, and anyone who wants to can disagree with me, I'd like to say just the team's overall well-being in general. I came in and I heard a lot about people who had injuries last year and then kind of just had to deal with it all year long because, we were super short staffed last year. And what a lot of people don't realize is the NATA, which is kind of like this like overarching body for athletic training, they recommend that you have like maybe 40-1 type of ratio. So every 40 athletes to 1 athletic trainer, I believe, is the ratio that they recommend. And there's just about no non-Power 5 school that has that ratio. And so even looking at you guys, we we had 22 at the beginning of the season on men's. I had 13 on women's, I think, from the start of the season, and then there was a total of, I think, 12 or 14 golfers. So putting all that math together, was that just about 40-ish? 40, 45. And I got lucky that that was my number of athletes, right? But like we said, was helping with other athletes, and the fact that I was able to kind of get you guys through a whole season, and we did have some big injuries this year, and that's just kind of comes with the territory, sadly. But being able to sit here and have someone who maybe barely made it through the end of the season last year, like fully complete a season and minimal problems, that was my success story, is having you guys being able to get through an entire season and really just feel genuinely good about yourselves during the season. That's my success story.
No, I love that so much. I think that's really reflects on your character and also everything you've done, relationships you've built. I mean, our guys love you. Anyone that I've talked to here loves you so much. So, I mean, that's, the proof is in your work and your amazing things you're doing here at school. So as we're kind of wrapping up a little bit, I know you've been, pretty fast.
Oh my God, am I talking too fast? Sorry.
No, you did great. No, you've been great. I want to kind of ask you like some quick hitters. Like first thing that comes to mind, I like to finish each interview with some of these. I know you've listened to every episode.
Yes, every episode.
So I like to customize them a little bit to the person, but I do want to hear what's one word you'd use to describe yourself.
Oh my God, I don't know. Loud.
Loud. See, that's perfect. What's your go-to comfort food?
Go-to comfort food. Don't judge me. Cold fried chicken.
Cold fried chicken.
Cold fried
Why
chicken.
cold?
I don't know.
You just like it?
It's just, it tastes better.
Okay, no, it's fair. And then, so I know you are a sneakerhead. You love shoes. What is your number one favorite pair of shoe?
That's really hard, but I have to go OG Jordan 1s.
Done.
Jordan 1s, any colorway, realistically. It's been a little bit wavering lately. I've been big into 13s, but Jordan 1s will always have my heart. And I know, every time I get a pair, my dad goes, he broke his ankle in those. I get it, but I'm not playing basketball. I might have to run down the court every once in a while, but I'm not playing basketball. So I'm allowed to wear Jordan 1s, and that's why they're my favorite.
Absolutely. And everyone on our team loves you so much for the shoe game. Everyone's talking to you about that. That's amazing. And, I just want one more time just to thank you for, taking the time and talking with me today. You're great, provided so much amazing insight. So I just wanted to, formally thank you for that.
Thank you for having me. It was a big honor. Like I said, I'm a big fan, big listener. I listen to every episode, no matter what. And so I'm really glad that you had me on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So I'd also want to thank everyone who's listening to this episode. Please interact with me individually at Nanik Tagore, and also our page at True to Life Podcast. DM questions if you have questions. For Katie, I'm gonna leave all of her stuff in the description. To reach out to her if you have any questions about training and stuff like that. But also any questions to me, please follow and subscribe to the show. And I'm here for you. Would love to talk and look forward to speaking to you soon. Thank you.